Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome back to a professional match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best of 3 series of Terran versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on NeoHumanity. Now the players, they're already chatting back and forth. Sometimes this happens. It's very distracting usually, but it doesn't really matter all that much. Playing right here with the red Terran SCVs in the top left-hand corner of the map. We're looking inside of the main base of ByuN. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Zerg drones, he goes by the name of Dark. Alrighty, so this particular series was played, I think about a month or so ago, as of me casting this video right now. It's from an ESL Open Cup, and I heard another referee is joining in as well. Fantastic. I heard that this particular set is absolutely amazing. Now, I believe around the time that this series was played, I also had just uploaded like 7 Dark casts in a row. So I decided not to feature this one just yet. I sort of forgot that it was played, but from what I've heard, it's absolutely amazing and I haven't seen it just yet. So game number 1 on NeoHumanity, not a very common map number 1 in a best of, well, best of series in general, but especially in a best of 3. A lot of Zerg players have been very fond of vetoing this map over the last couple of months. But of course, this is Dark we're talking about, so you never really know, man. Dark, he's a bit of a wild card. Anyways, we've got ourselves a double barracks opener right here on the low ground in the natural expansion here for ByuN. This is his new standard build order. This is the strategy that he's been playing for quite a while. I guess the main downside, in case who's wondering, they were talking about flights to Jönköping. Ah, okay. So to the ESL event. I see. So they're just having a, yeah, casual conversation. Fair enough. This is a build order that, well, first off, you start off with 3 Reapers, and then usually it continues onwards with more Terran bio. This means that you won't really have Hellion play, you won't really have all too much as far as like that, well, what do we call it? Like the middle part of the early game aggression, right? So usually there's Hellions roaming around, maybe a Banshee or 2. You won't have any of these units in this particular opener, but it does transition really smoothly from those Reapers into that Marine-based army. And let's be honest, when you're going up against ByuN, do you really make the assumption that the man is going to be playing mech? Right? Even though TY has shown us, for example, that Turtle Mech is really strong on NeoHumanity, and you could definitely transition towards, well, mass battle cruiser if you wanted to. It's not really the style that ByuN plays most of the time. There have been periods in StarCraft where ByuN didn't really seem as confident. How long are you gonna do this build? Yeah, until I win, says ByuN. All right, so Dark asking, how long are you gonna be doing this double Rex shenanigans here? Fair enough. Anyways, this is a build that really only ByuN seems to be playing in quite literally every single one of his games. So he's a big fan of playing this particular TVZ build right now. But I think a lot of that is due to the fact that he's incredibly good when it comes to that Reaper micro. And I mean, like I said, he likes playing the same follow-up every single time as well. Albeit with an asterisk or 2, right? You never really know exactly how many barracks are gonna be on the back of it. So sometimes he does this opener with 3 barracks at the start. So then a 3rd barracks is hiding, well, right over here or so usually, and he goes Mass Reaper. With this particular beginning, it's going to be 3 Reapers in total and then straight into ByuN. But sometimes it's going to be more than just the 2 barracks right here on the back of it. In this case, though, ByuN will be able to get an awful lot of Marines out, and it's a lot of guessing for Zerg. You can't really scout, right? There's so many Marines out in this kind of game that you can't really scout with an Overlord. So as Zerg, you sort of need to be prepared for the worst case scenario. Unless maybe you get a glimpse of like a 3rd command center or something along those lines. Dark is gonna be, well, mostly in the dark. 3rd hatchery starts up at the triangular position. So Dark did decide, by the way, to delay his 3rd hatchery here for a little bit, prioritizing the Zergling speed upgrade. He's still got full mining though. I actually do like this. Yeah, knocking down the cooling tower here in the middle of the map. Good stuff. It does mean that the Terran is not going to be able to show up, well, as easily. Obviously, you can still get some medevacs going, but with this particular opener here from ByuN, he really won't have a whole lot of those units here anytime soon. Okay, so are we going to knock down the rocks? Yeah, he's thinking about it. You can knock down the rocks and open up the attack path a little bit again, but that's a lot of Marines. Okay, so we're at 18 Marines, 4.5 minutes into the game, together with those Reapers as well. I think they're coming out of hiding a little early here to knock down the rocks here to open up the attack path once again. Roach Warren here is a response, by the way, from Dark. So it's gonna be Stimpack together with combat shields, and now finally a factory on the back of this too. No 3rd command center or anything along those lines. It feels like a build to me that is counterable by Zerg, and there is a perfect response. But because so few Terran players actually play this style, Zergs don't get enough practice to figure out exactly what the perfect response is. At the very least, it seems like it's a little hit or miss. So maybe Dark is going to... Well, he's got some energy saved up, actually. Maybe he does have a beautiful response here. Oh, you know what? This may actually just be it. Yeah, you don't want to chase him off creep, though. He wants to bait out Stimpak. Okay, never mind. I actually thought that Dark was going to have like 6 roaches available, and that would have been a bit of an issue. But he saved up a lot of money there to make a whole load of those roaches. Yeah, now this early game here from Terran wasn't particularly amazing, right? It is still awkward, though. It's very easy for Zerg to now think, okay, it's been held, fantastic. And then more Marines show up, and you do get caught off guard. Since those units were never traded out, now the armies are absolutely massive. But... yeah, it's still a guessing game to figure out exactly right here, for the Zerg at the very least, as to when they should stop droning and go back to unit production. So, Dark is on his tippy toes here. He started up a lair, he did make a few more drones, but really he's just sitting around here at, well, pretty much 2 base economy with some additional drones at the 3rd as well. Only 48 workers here available for the Zerg player in total. 3rd command center here for Terran. Just about halfway done right now. +1/+1 has been fired up as well here for the Zerg, so looks to me like he wants to go for that standard roach speed attack. But you can see that this is kind of an uncomfortable position here for Zerg, right? Most of the time, Zergs want to drone straight towards 3-base saturation at the very least. Maybe have a 4th hatch on the back of it too and just keep up the worker production, but Dark is sprinkling in a few drones and a few units and a few drones and a few units, mostly just due to the fact that he still has not seen a 3rd command center. And if this is some sort of elaborate delayed 2-base all-in, he really needs to be careful that he does not get caught off guard. So once again, he's scouting here 7 minutes into the game. Still no 3rd command center has been spotted, and the Terran army is absolutely massive. Okay, now the CC though, it's flying down towards the low ground. Oh, Dark actually doesn't see it. Yeah, he's just firing up non-stop roaches. I think at this point, if you're Dark, you're probably just gonna try and hit your opponent in the face as soon as you finish up these 3 upgrades. So that's roach speed together with the +1/+1 upgrades that benefit the roaches and the queens and the hydras and the lurkers and the locust, technically speaking, too. The main problem, though, with this particular attack, for Zerg at the very least, is that, yes, you will be able to go for aggression if you want to, right when all of those upgrades finish up, and in theory it's fantastic. The problem is that this is also the moment where Terran's roaming the map with Medivacs, and, well, this is ByuN we're talking about, so he's always going to be roaming the map with Medivacs if you got Medivacs out. So if you go for a move out right now as the Zerg, you'll probably find yourself in a position where your drops are, or your bases are going to be dropped everywhere, and those drops are going to absolutely tear you apart. So it's a bit of an awkward game now. Dark can't really go and push with half of his army, because then he just will get overwhelmed by the bio units. Very confusing start here for both players, honestly, even though very little has happened. I hope I've done a decent job explaining it, because this is kind of an uncomfortable spot for the both of them. So Dark could obviously cross his fingers and hope that Terran won't be dropping him as he goes for an attack. He's still making a lot of army. Tunneling Claws coming up as well, together with the Burrow upgrade. He's trying his very best to just, yeah, stick around on this unit comp for a while longer, but we all know that, yeah, Roach Ravager falls off pretty hard the longer that the game goes on. So, in his mind, he's crossing his fingers almost right now, and he's hoping that our Terran player... Oh, okay. Leave Brenda alone! Hello? What are we doing? Well, that was a mistake. Jeez Louise, that was brutal, though. She just fell off of the freaking... I don't know, where are we? This is some sort of elaborate penthouse in NeoHumanity, wherever that is, man. This is, I'm not exactly where we are, but anyway, she fell down the building. Dark really wants to fight. He's been wanting to fight for 5 minutes. But in reality, what he could have done, right? If he knew exactly what ByuN was up to, in reality, what he could have done was go straight up to like 90 workers and then start making army. If that were to be the case, he would have been maxed out a minute and a half ago. Right now, none of that is really the case. Okay, so I really like the way that ByuN has been approaching this. Giving his opponent the benefit of the doubt. He's like, okay, I'm respecting you enough. I've seen the amount of stuff you have available, so I'm just not gonna fight you. And I'll make this very awkward, uncomfortable game for you. And, well, for Terran, usually these type of games are not quite as bad. There's already a missile turret set up here. Yeah, I'm a little surprised to see NeoHumanity in a best of 3, if I'm being honest with you. Are we gonna pop up and make the other siege tanks kill that siege tank? Is that the plan? I'm not exactly sure. This is considered to be quite a good Terran map right now. Mostly due to the fact that... the split map scenario is incredibly scary for Zerg. Then again though, if it is a split map scenario, you're still facing off against Dark, who's one of the very best micro players on the planet. And one of the very few Zerg players who's really capable of squeezing the most juice out of that Zerg late game. So he's already pretty much there. Lurker Den coming up right now, Vipers are coming up, +3 is starting. We've got ourselves a Zerg here who's happy to play that late game. Most Zergs will be avoiding this state of the game to the best of their abilities, but not Dark. So we're on double factory here for the time being. No Ghost Academy yet. Okay, that one starts up right now. Actually pretty late. Yeah, normally it's... I guess it's not super late. It's maybe like a minute or so late. It doesn't really matter all too much. As long as you get the Ghosts out eventually. You really do need them against whatever Zerg late game is they're going for, because the unit is good against, well, most of the late game Zerg units. Yeah. Actually, correction, all of the late game Zerg units. So Ghosts really are a bit of a no-brainer. 5 command centers coming up right now, though, for our Terran. He's just building CC after CC. I CC many CCs is what I'm saying. No, he's going to be able to just get a ridiculous economy here very soon. And he's already at 80 SCVs, by the way, compared to the 66 workers here for Dark. So Dark really doesn't have that steady of an income here. Very curious to see what Dark is building up to, though, because he's been maxed out here for quite a while now. But he's not really able to find an angle where he can be particularly effective with his army. And this is not an army that skills particularly well here. So he's just getting all the upgrades. Yeah, Baneling Nest coming up as well. He is ready to trade out these roaches for probably Hydras and Lurkers, and then Lings and Banes as well. Middle base taken here by ByuN. He'll be happy. Yeah, he'll be happy to just take the split map scenario. So the reason why split maps are very good in Terran versus Zerg in favor of Terran is because Terran trades more cost efficiently. Now, I would show you this. I would show you this, but there have been very little fighting so far. There's been very little fighting. At this point, maybe a few units are going down and are taking some damage, but nothing all too crazy. If you get forced to split map, usually what you can do is, well, mine half of the resources on the map, right? And if you can mine half of the total resources on the map, you will find yourself in a phenomenal position. Because, well, Terran trades more efficiently the longer that the game goes on. So, say hypothetically speaking, all of the minerals, half of them go in favor of the Terran. Same for the amount of gas. Terran will certainly be able to, unless they take a really terrible fight, they will certainly be able to obtain the victory. Now, because this map pool has been around for quite a while, okay, we're getting rid of the medevacs here, so he doesn't want to bother repairing them. Factories are coming up right now too, yeah. Terrans have really figured out how to optimize it. So planetary fortresses and choke points. I'm assuming this one will also actually be a planetary. I wouldn't be surprised if we're gonna have more too. I've even seen planetaries in the main base lately. Well, maybe in this main base is gonna be a little bit tricky, but I've seen them lately in the main base too, just to deal with any sort of Nidus worm harass. So Terrans are just going mass command center, and well, once you've got enough orbital commands and planetary fortresses set up, not only are you very difficult to break for the Zerg, you're also gonna be able to get rid of most of your SCVs and effectively build up like 180 or so army supply. You will always need some SCVs to mine the gas count, right? So the gas obviously needs to be mined by SCVs. That's not something that mules can actually do. But yeah, you can replace most of your mineral miners with mules instead, and they don't cost any supply. Cute attempt here, I guess, from our Zerg, but this is gonna be a very tough Terran to crack. Massive fungal growth, though. Is he gonna get punished for this? There's no Baneling speed yet. Well, now it finished, but that's a little too late. Okay, ByuN playing with fire, but the good kind of fire, right? I think he was okay there. I think he was more than all right. Okay. So I said it earlier, I haven't really seen Terran here go for a lot of mech. And even though this has been a bio start, it really hasn't really been a lot of bio battles here, right? Very little infantry fighting. The roaches are just being sacked here. He doesn't really need the roaches anymore. He just wants to replace them with better units. Yeah, he's gonna come in again here as well. He just wants to trade them out for whatever he can. And honestly, the same for ByuN here. The Marines and the Roaches, they were all made for each other. And now they're going to be sacrificed to one another. Even though maybe he was planning on doing this a little bit earlier on in the game. Fight over here, up in the northern lane. Fungal growth over here would be sweet. EMPs, though, have already removed the energy out of a few of the infestors. But a massive fungal does connect here eventually. That's a lot of ghosts going down there. And I'm actually a little bit surprised ByuN is taking this fight as aggressively as he is. Getting infestors is real nice. Everything else, though, not really something that Zerg cares about all too much. Now, as we have a Brute Lord transition coming up for the Zerg, we've got ourselves a Thor transition coming up as well for ByuN. Okay. Look at the amount of gas, by the way, that Dark has at this point. 2,000 gas already. He's made a lot of bases. Anyways, Brute Lords are moving on to the front, yeah. So Ghosts are looking for an angle where they can potentially snipe this, and they will find an angle. Nicely done. I think at least one Brute Lord got sniped out of the skies just now, yeah. One of them took a whole lot of damage too, but the Queens are going to be able to transfuse that back up to full. Infestors, Neuroparasite, Thors, Liberators, Hellbats, Ghosts. We've got a little bit of everything, man. Okay, so both of these guys are basically saying, yo, let's skip the early game. Let's even skip the mid game. Let's go straight to the late game. Which is something that rarely happens in StarCraft 2. As a matter of fact, I would say that most of these games are won by the mid game, right? Most of these games are decided by the mid game, and the average game of StarCraft 2 never gets to the late game because, well, players will simply lose before that point. And apparently these guys have enough respect for one another to just not even allow the game to go that far. Well, that far? That short, maybe. Anyways, Brute Lords are trying to hunt down whatever they can, but Thors right now, okay, are very powerful. Some good abductions. Nice fungal growths as well. Queens here moving forward with the transfusions. One of the Ghosts does get the kill right there on one of the Vipers, but once again, a formidable trade right there for Dark. Very, very effective. Not too impressed actually here by that late game micro so far by ByuN. I feel like he's been bleeding out a lot more units than he really needs to. 18 ghosts. Yeah, 18 ghosts have gone down. I feel like we've had like 2 fights where ghosts were even relevant. That is way too many ghosts going down. Anyways. +3/+3 at this point is done for the biological units. So ByuN has decided to go high-sec auto-tracking together with the building armor. Very powerful. That one will be done momentarily. And this is apparently the moment where ByuN decides, okay, it is time for me to start harassing this. So there is a moment actually where the game gets a little awkward on NeoHumanity. So if you draw like a diagonal line from the bottom left to the top right, it is quite obvious that the bottom section of that line, I suppose, should be in favor of Dark, and the top section it should be in favor of ByuN. Okay, can we even kill this? No, we're just going for the SCVs, I guess. Anyways, in theory, yes, that's true. But in reality, we rarely see the Terran and Zerg being neighbors in both the top section as well as the bottom section. So there's a little bit of a caveat there. No detection available here for our... Okay, you're just gonna rapid fire, just get everything? I mean, cool theory, but I don't think this was actually that great, though, for our Zerg player thus far. He ends up losing most of the infestors. I don't think this was good at all, actually, for Zerg. Ay, ay, ay. That started off as him catching the entire Terran army, but... that ended with, well, he did kill quite a few Terran units too, but I don't think that really was particularly efficient. Good crisis management there by ByuN, who's also moving forward up north. A couple snipes going down again. So, 16 additional infestors are coming up. I guess in Dark's mind, he could have literally knurled that entire army. That would have been nice. He's going up to 21 infestors, though. That is quite the infestment. Smash like. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. I'll be here all day. No, but seriously, that is a lot of infestors. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do with all of that. Nice pickup there as well by ByuN. Low HP medevac. Doesn't matter. Maybe Parabomb would not be a bad call. An abduction. Okay, well, Parasitic Bomb on the Liberator or the medevac would have been nice. I don't think I agree with a Parasitic Bomb on the Viking. Fight in the meantime as well up north, though. At least now we have... oh, no. We already lost one. Neural Parasites going down on all of the Thors here, but those Ghosts are sniping all of the infestors whenever they can get their hands on them. Brute Lord's still hanging out over there. Can we get some Neurals and some Fungals? The man's just going mass infestor. That kind of works now. I feel like the first 7 engagements with the infestors have not been that great, but That's one way to get rid of the Terran mech, I suppose. Come on, boys. There you go. Just kill whatever you can. Maybe kill each other. I don't know. Get done whatever you need to get done. Looks like eventually that Thor ended up going down maybe to the Banelings there and the Medevac also not too far behind. Brute Lords are showing up right now. Most of the Infestors at this point are out of energy. They definitely won't have enough energy for more Neurals. But obviously, they will slowly regenerate it here over the course of the next few minutes. Swarm Host, a single one coming up right now for Dark. That's got to be a misclick. It's to do with the way that these guys like to do their queen injects. Sometimes they accidentally fat finger one of the wrong hotkeys, and it happens. Okay. Even though these fights have been kind of good, I feel like, for Zerg, it's all felt very, very flimsy. But there's so many ghosts going down. My god, yeah, 31 ghosts and 22 infestors at the 21-minute mark. In a game where, like, very little has happened so far. That's actually kind of insane. By the way, the hero Swarm Host did send its Locust forward. Of course. Normally what we see, right, from Zergs is a focus on Brute Lords here in the late game. So we see players going up to, like, 30 Brute Lords. And then a group of Ling Bane in case there's, like, too many ghosts. But maybe a few Infestors and Vipers for support, but most of the army is usually Brute Lords. Now it's kind of the other way around. It looks to me like the army here is the Infestors and the Vipers, and then the Brute Lords are for support. In case the opponent goes too many... I guess too many siege tanks? Okay, Blinding Cloud over here is once again gonna enable the Neural Parasite. That's gonna get that's gonna get rid of whatever he can. Sometimes I feel like Dark is not taking the game as seriously as everybody else. I'm sure he's playing, like, this is from an ESO Open Cup, right? But it really doesn't feel like this is the most optimal way to play Zerg late game. Look at him, he's just massing Infestors. He still has 19 of them available right now. He's already lost 26. I have not seen games with, look at him, he's making more. I have not seen games with this many Infestors in ages. For what it's worth, I had somebody ask me the other day on stream. You should follow me, by the way, on Twitch, twitch.tv/LowkoTV. I had somebody ask me in the chat, Lowko, what is a more important spellcaster in the late game? Is it Vipers or is it Infestors, if you can only make one? And I actually suggested that that person should play Vipers. If you're listening to this cast, I want to correct myself. He's making 11 more Infestors. He's going 30 Infestors. Are you insane? 30 Infestors with 26 of them already dead. We've got an absurd amount of gas income. Yeah. I mean, if you can Neural Parasite the entire Terran army, I guess that's one way to solve this problem. But I don't know, man. I'm not confident. I'm not confident that this is going to work out in favor of the Zerg in the long run. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong, but... My god. What an army. I would actually kind of like it if StarCraft 2 spellcasters were supportive units. Rather than an army in on themselves. Right? It's the same for ghosts. I think ghosts are a little overtuned. I think infestors are a little... I think all spellcasters in StarCraft 2, with maybe the exception of the High Templar. You barely ever see more than like 5 High Templar. I think that's cool. But yeah, there have been multiple periods in the history of StarCraft 2 where spellcasters were just the absolute dominant late game units. And yeah, I wouldn't mind it if they, you know, were making like maybe 3 Infestors and 3 Vipers. That'd be kind of cool. Anyways, Fungal Growth over here. Brute Lord's trying to close the distance, but that's going to be kind of difficult to pull off. More and more Liberators coming up. Ghost over here down south at the same time as well. They end up sniping 3 Queens. Pew, 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 pew. So it's Terran late game, right? Here. From the scan. And then a Ghost. Pew, 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 pew. It's what I hear when I play late game Terran versus Zerg. It's the stuff of nightmares. Okay, massive EMPs. But at this point, you need so many EMPs because there are so many Infestors. 28 available. This is not all the Infestors. No, there's more of them down south. Huge Neural Parasite, though. He's just taking control of every single unit. He's gonna have to manually start targeting down some of these units because otherwise it's just not going to work out well. And there we go. Oh my god, that is a lot of wasted Banelings, but eventually it ends up working out. We have a Hydra Lurker transition. So a Hydra Lurker Infestor is now the name of the game. Maybe some leftover Lings and Banes, few Vipers and all the rest of it, but... Anyways, ByuN is happy to be next door neighbors apparently up north. This base down south though, as well as this one over here, yeah, they really need to be acquired by the Zerg. Because as nice as all of these fights have been here for Dark, he's actually... he's trading very efficiently, which is kind of nuts. Yeah, as long as all of those traits are good enough for him, I guess this will be good for the... I don't know, man, this is funky. Let's just say like this, okay? I haven't seen a lot of late game Terran versus Zergs on both Gressven as well as NeoHumanity where Zerg actually wins. So as good as all of this has been, I think every single game of the like last dozen I've seen has been ultimately the Terran's victory. Now I would obviously like to see you correct, but I really wonder if Mass Infestor is the way, you know? 18 SCVs end up going down here. Planetary Fortress is also gone. We have an additional fight over here up north, though. Here comes the Infestor army. Look at the Infestors! What in the world? Sorry, I can't get over the Infestors. He's actually sniping the most important bases, though, of Terran right now. That's where the majority of the resources are actually at right now. The other bases are running out of juice. Okay, hatchery down south does get denied. Dark is also running out of minerals, though. Or, sorry, not running out of minerals, running out of gas. That's because he dumped all of his gas on these bad boys. Actually insane. Okay. I want to see at the end of this game how many Infestors were produced. It's got to be an absurd amount. In the meantime, that small little army that killed that base down south is just marching straight for the throat. They're just on a little stroll to the Zerg's main base. Lovely work here by ByuN. He's got to be careful though. He doesn't have a lot of gas. He definitely should not be making Reapers at this point, but anyways, that's a little bit of a misclick right there from our Terran player. Hive is gonna go down. Here come the Infestors though. Fungal Growth is also, look at the Thors fighting one another. Fungal Growth is also a fantastic option, of course, as a form of detection. That siege tank is murdering everything though. Okay. We need something. One Hydra. Yep, okay. One Hydra finishes the job. +3, +3, +3 finishing up everywhere. We really need to see some creep dropped in this area though. Because otherwise the spires are gonna bleed out. In the meantime, one of the command centers has been replaced over here on the left side and the same for the base up north. I've got a feeling ByuN still has a couple more command centers that he could use for any of these jobs. Yeah, he's got quite a few that he could definitely reposition. Okay, one of them gets burned down because he forgot to repair it. That's okay. Bailing Nest needs to be remade. He does still have the spawning pool over here, but the Hydra Den is also gonna bleed out. Maybe more importantly, does he still have his infestation pit? No, the infestation pit is gone. That means that this... Did he lose all the No, sorry. I was dumb there for a second. I did not notice the... Okay, no. I thought for a second he lost all of his infestors. I thought I missed it. We're going... okay, about 50-ish. A little more than 50-ish. Infestors in one game. I don't remember the last time that I've seen that. Actually insane. Sometimes I name my videos something like Mass Battle Cruiser, and I mean like, you know, 10 Battle Cruisers. That's pretty... Mass Infestor in this game is a legit title, though. Once again, this base down south is in a little bit of trouble. Hellbats and Marines only at this point. Mostly just because... Oh god, once again. Mostly just because we just don't have any gas here anymore as the Terran, so... Yeah, ByuN is making units here that only cost minerals, which is fair enough. And this is working out so much better for the Zerg than I thought it would. Both players, though, yeah, teching back down in a way to lower tier units. Lings and Roaches and a bunch of SCVs and, well, a few Ghosts. That's not really an early game unit, I suppose, but mostly some early game stuff here for both players. We have a lot of Hellbats, quite a few Marines as well. Okay. A lot of Infestors end up going down here, but a lot of the Terran units also take damage. That Planetary Fortress is amazing, though. Putting in so much work. Very good positioning right there by ByuN. Roaches and Hydras just chasing down wherever they can, man. Why is it always Dark playing these games? I swear. Nobody signs up to play these games except for Dark, right? Like, Dark's like, yep, Chaos. Chaos is a ladder. If Dark was a Game of Thrones character, if he was a Song of Ice and Fire character, he would most definitely be Peter Baelish. Yeah, for sure. He'd be scheming the entire time. He'd actually be secretly running the entire kingdom from a distance. That's actually kind of a fun idea. Who would be what? Which pro gamer would be which character in popular TV shows? What Game of Thrones character would Cyril be? Leave your suggestions down below in the comment section. A very honorable macro Zerg with some dirty strategies, but really only because he's forced into them. I guess he definitely has to be of House Stark, right? Like, that's the... This would have been more fun like 5 years ago when everybody remembered the names or remembered the names rather, and you know, before the final seasons of that television show came out. Still waiting for the final book. I've got it in the back of my mind because I read an article this morning that it's been 12 years since the most recent book release, and you know, I'm past it at this point. I'm over it at this point most of the time. But yeah, I would like it to be out one day. That would be nice. That would be really nice. Same for the third book of the Kingkiller Chronicles. I've been waiting for that one for ages. Anyways, looks like ByuN is trying to finish the job that he started some time ago with that, well, very expensive group of units of his. He doesn't quite finish off the spawning pool, but all of the other tech structures in the main base are gone. Dark decides to take one of the bases that was previously nibbled on by those SCVs. This is something that ByuN sees right now too, but here comes his army though. He's gotta be so careful. Yeah, the neural parasite once again, man. Beautiful neural there. So that's a neural parasite into an EMP on the rest of the ghosts. Meaning that the ghosts right now are out of energy. So this is effectively now just a roach infestor army going up against siege tanks, hellbats, marines, and a few marauders or two. Like, this is a very a very crazy army here. Both players are just broke in gas, so they have to resort to these very strange unit compositions at this point in the game. Still though, there's a lot of static defense set up right here for the Terran player, and that is once again absolutely amazing. ByuN has now landed one of his command centers in a mirrored location of that one, so that's so interesting. There's a little bit of gas remaining here in these geysers. Similar story over here. Look at this, they're both mining the opponent's what would sometimes be the third base. Not oftentimes taken anymore these days as a third, but okay, well at this point Dark sees it. It all comes down to the infestors here though. There's still 13 of them available. A good fungal growth can change everything. Fungal? Oh, he's thinking about it. Yeah, he wants to really badly. He wants to chase down these units. One more, one more, one more! Yeah, that's a big one. That's a really big fungal. At the same time, there's a fight happening up north as well. Looks like that one is easily won right there by the Terran player. But the fight over here is going heavily in favor of the Zerg. Neural parasites once again here, going down left, right, and center wherever they can be landed. Planetary Fortress being very annoying, but I do believe that there's going to be more than enough for the Zerg to break through this, albeit in a very expensive manner. When this base is gone, though, it does mean... Can we get a Neural Parasite or anything? I guess the Hydras will finish the job here, yeah. This does mean that this mineral line is once again available. Terran now has won the fight up north, and he's trying to clear out the hatchery here. That one will be killed. Okay. So wait, who's actually mining more at this point? ByuN is still mining a little bit more. I think it's mostly because of this base over here. This base was also previously mined by those SCVs, but now that's going in favor here of the Zerg. Dark's actually getting a decent amount of income again too, though. Yeah, as far as gas goes, this is really not as bad as it was a few minutes ago. What an insane game. So we're 34 minutes in. And I have no idea who's winning this. Supply-wise, it's an advantage here for Dark. But I still don't mind this situation here for our Terran player very much. It's just going to be a difficult position to break. There are so many planetaries here, and they're in very good positions. That's very well done here by Dark. Or, sorry, by ByuN. Well, I guess also by Dark, right? Forcing his opponent to build planetaries in these locations is maybe not what he was hoping for. But ByuN is slowly, methodically moving this around the map, right? So he's slowly moving this army in and out of position. Whereas, like, the moves that Dark is making in this game so far, they've been a lot more YOLO. Today I learned apparently a gas geyser can be shot from right over here. It makes sense, but never really have seen a situation where that is relevant. This can still be over though. A fungal growth or two can change the tide of battle very quickly. I love the fact here that ByuN is making so many missile turrets and sensor towers here, mostly just for detection. He wants to make sure that he is not going to be caught off guard. Oh, even the base is actually within range as long as the siege tank has vision. That's funny. Yeah, Zerg wants to get in here, but as long as these mineral fields are not mined, then I actually think that's a great idea by ByuN. As long as those mineral fields are not mined, it's difficult for the Zerg player to break this. Now, finally, this very pivotal this very pivotal planetary fortress there does get sniped. And that effectively opens up the front door right here to the natural expansion of the Terran too. A lot more of these bases are now vulnerable. Okay, and it's not really like ByuN can just replace those lost planetaries either. Creep spread going down everywhere. Alright, missile turrets building still, but I mean, he's got to be careful that he doesn't get too carried away. ByuN should really saturate these gases over here instead. Zerg has already given up on the main and the natural ages ago. Yeah, he's just building infrastructure wherever he can. Now, he does not have a lair, so it's really just... He's got 2 spawning pools, by the way. That's kind of funny. It's really just Roaches, Ravagers, and whatever army unit he still has left over. There is a Baning Nest, so he can make Ling Bane as well, but that's really about it. This hatchery being in range of the siege tank, actually insane. Okay, I really love it, but nicely done right there by ByuN. ByuN's been scanning over and over and over again to get vision right here for this tank to kill that hatchery. And eventually, I do believe it's gonna finish the job. At the same time, though, Zergling streaming in here and killing some very expensive siege tanks. These tanks are not easily replaceable. That was a trait that, well, Zerg will make any day of the week. I don't know about these overlords, but everything else was really nice there. Okay, we're just gonna long distance mine this now instead. Fair enough. This siege tank actually very critical. I don't think the map maker ever considered the distance from that base to the siege tank wall or the siege tank ramp, but it turns out that that is very critical here. Once again, a good engagement right here for the Zerg player, although he's pushing into a choke point. Siege tanks, yeah, eventually do get sieged up and he decides to back off. What a game! What a game. ByuN's got a load of minerals in the bank. I don't think he just wants to spend it, though. No, he just wants to be careful with what units he's producing. Some fungal growths would be really sweet over here. Good snipes there, of course, by ByuN. Looks like Dark has now set his sights, though, over here. So he knows that Terran's very split up. And if he can take on half the Terran army at a time, that may very well give him the advantage that he needs. Pushing down this low ground once again. That's a planetary fortress that could have been, that does not exist. Commence that are there gets killed. In the meantime, though, Terran's also pushing forward here on the other side of the map. Those overlords probably need to get out of there. But this is 2 mining bases right here for the Terran versus really only just a single mining base here for the Zerg. So I actually don't know if I like this trade all too much right here for ByuN. Sure, he does get rid of the final mining right here of, oh my god, of our Zerg. But Dark also just got rid of the final mining right here of our Terran. I mean, there's still a little bit of money remaining in some of those locations. Both players end up losing a tremendous amount of economy. But in the end, this is 2 bases of economy worth for ByuN versus a single base of economy worth of Dark. So, I think this was a good trade right here for Dark, all things considered. A single drone remains. Is over here, hiding on the right side of the map. This means that Dark has to win with the units that he's got right now. He's got 50 minerals. He can maybe make 1 more drone, but that's really about it. He doesn't really have a proper way to rebuild here. Oh, Infestor accidentally finds an angle. There are so many siege tanks still. 14 tanks. Okay, yeah, no, we have an Infestor being traded out for a tank. I guess that's alright. I wouldn't mind seeing a missile turret somewhere on this high ground. There's a lot of scans available, I suppose, but... yeah, he's just trying to deal damage wherever possible. I think that's a win still for the Terran, yep. Forward missile turret, very critical. Oh, I've got a feeling that our Zerg is bleeding out a little bit too much, although he does snatch a couple of those siege tanks over here, and with a couple, I mean like 3 or 4 of them. Not bad at all. Another follow-up. Fungo actually dealing a tremendous amount of damage. Darks jumps on top of all of these units. Lowko said, what? He thought I was in a bad spot. I'll show him what I'm all about. No, I still think he's in a horrible spot here, but he is trying his very best to pull a rabbit out of a hat. GG is cold. And it's ByuN who wins game number 1. Yeah, this was a best of 3 series, by the way. I think I mentioned that like 40 minutes ago. But just in case I didn't, this is a best of 3. Command center first here on Gresvin. I can't believe we have NeoHumanity in game 1 and then Gresvin in game 2. I am a little bit surprised that Dark decided to keep both of these maps in this particular best of 3. Okay. Yeah, very interesting. I think most of the time, right, so in a best of 5, or sorry, in a best of 3, both players get to veto 2 maps each. The most popular vetoes, as far as I can tell right now, are Gresvin and NeoHumanity, so the fact that Dark decides to keep both of those maps in the map pool, a little bit interesting. And then he also picked one of them, right? So usually you veto 2 maps and then you take turns as far as, like, choosing the map order goes. I don't know what map 3 would be, because I don't know what their vetoes are, but... it does mean that Dark either decided to play NeoHumanity or Gresvin, which again, surprises me a bit. Anyways, it is going to be a double barracks opener, but this time around with a command center in the main base. Or, well, not in the main base, but a command center built right at the very start. Straight reactor here as well from ByuN. Literally no units here at all for our Terran player. Normally this would be the point where our Reaper is already out. In this particular case, no such thing. And it looks to me like our Zerg player is also expecting a Reaper, because he's actually making quite a few links here. Yeah, he's readied them in such a way that he's prepared to deal with any sort of Reaper shenanigans. He actually made 6 links here blindly, which is a bit interesting. Most of the time what the Koreans do is they make 2 sets of Zerglings blindly, much like the Europeans do. However, if they then see a Reaper coming across the map with their very first Overlord, they will add on a 3rd group of links. Apparently that's not what Dark did. He just made 3 sets of links blindly, which I am not sure is ideal, to be honest, but... anyways, it's gonna be straight Marine production right here for ByuN. Dark could have played a very greedy game, but yeah, not the case. He's actually just making more links right now. Okay. So maybe in his mind, there's not gonna be enough units here to defend the natural, and he may very well be right. Overlord in the main base right now, trying to get a little bit of vision. He hasn't seen the natural, but at this point he must have figured out, okay, there's likely something a bit fishy going on the side of the Terran. He's gonna see the command center at the very least. Link speed is just seconds away from finishing right now. He's trying to bait those Marines out. Yeah, he's trying to bait those Marines to run as far away from safety as possible. Additional links are showing up though, and Terran has no clue that this is the case. He has to get something done with these Zerglings. He wants Terran so badly to come out and play, but... beautiful, honestly, here by ByuN. Very lovely work. Dark's like, come on, bro! It's just 6 Zerglings! You've got 5 Marines by now, no? Just come say hi! Not the case! ByuN's mom taught him well. Don't talk to strange Zerglings like that. Don't take their very fishy invitations. Okay. So, in the end, it's a 2-1-1 opener, but with a CC first. Roach Warren once again here for Dark. Oh god. We could definitely be playing another half-hour long game. Every time I see Dark opening Roaches this time, or you know, lately I guess, it is not really to do a timing attack. Like, historically, most of the time we see a Roach Warren really quickly to do a timing attack, but that's not the case lately. It seems that most of the time when Zerg players are going roaches, it is just to deflect whatever the Terran players get planned for them, and then to eventually play the macro game. Okay, Medevac just about to spawn. We're already at 18 Marines here. So, for context, a normal 2-1-1 opener without the command center first, it hits at about 5 minutes and 10 seconds on the other side of the map with 16 Marines, 2 Medevacs, and Stimpak. Obviously a little dependent on the map and the size of the map. This is actually really not far off at all, considering we've got that really quick CC. Yeah, we've got even more Marines. Not bad. That command center is only going to continue paying for itself right now moving forward. Again, an awkward game though. Terran is going to boost the Medevacs across, but this is such a delayed attack now that I don't really think he's going to get too much done. Dark does decide to add on more and more roaches as well. Because of the third base location, Terran can actually drop in the main and the third base very easily. So that's why the queens here are split up from the rest of the roaches. I actually wonder if ByuN could just stim forward and kill all of these roaches, but... Anyways, here's the boost. Okay, he sees the queens, not going to commit. Roach speed starts up here for the Zerg. Will we have double Evo chamber as well for Dark? Yep. These are a little bit late. Wouldn't have minded seeing those coming up about a half second earlier, or a half minute earlier, maybe even more than that. Third command center right now inside of the main base here of Terran. Again, we're playing this very strange game where both players have made a lot of army, but we're not trading any of the armies out, nor are we actually committing to the attack that we set out for. So there's a lot of mutual respect here where the guys are like, yeah, I know you're gonna counter me, so I'm not gonna fight you at all. We had that very similar situation as well in the previous game. Dark once again firing up the missile as well as the armor upgrade. Infestation pit coming up. I don't know exactly how many infestors he made in the previous game, but it was definitely 50. I think last time we checked he was at like 55 or so in total, which is a pretty absurd amount. Don't know if we're gonna be able to surpass that in this particular game. I'd be very surprised, but he seems to be getting a lot of value out of the infestation pit, so we'll see. Second engineering bay. Armory comes up as well. +1 upgrade here, starting up for the armor here for the infantry units. At this point, roach speed is done, though. Yeah, I was gonna say, you can dart in and out like that, but I don't think I like this fight as much right here for the Zerg. Fourth hatchery coming up here on the left side. Third CC. Available and landed on the low ground, so very fast first command center that Dark or that ByuN decided to build, and then the second CC he built, the third CC in total, was relatively late. Couple roaches here trying to go across. We do actually once again have the pathogen glands upgrade coming up, so that's the Infestor energy upgrade. You only ever go for that upgrade if you plan on making a whole lot of units. That said though, this first off needs to be addressed. This Terran army is absolutely humongous. I actually am not sure that Dark has enough here. I mean, those siege tanks are tearing them apart from the distance. As soon as the fights are in range of the tanks, life is amazing right here for ByuN. Okay, well, maybe a little bit of fatigue coming in as well. We did, by the way, have a bunch of SCVs dying on the other side of the map, but didn't show that on camera, mostly because this fight over here is far more important. ByuN can definitely afford losing 8 SCVs at this point in the game if he can clean out literally the entire army. And now the siege tanks are within range as well of that hatchery. So maybe Dark has got late game plans. Once again, he's apparently not too tired after playing that game, at least as far as the late game situation goes, but brilliant timing attack here by ByuN. Looking at his opponent's army, he's like, yeah, infestors are nice and all. I'm happy to play the late game once again if you want to, but you look kind of weak right now. He sees an opportunity, he immediately takes it, and he wins this series 2-0.